Welcome to this week's edition of the Swider Insider. I'm your host, Rusty Lindsay, joined as we are before each football game with head football coach Mike Swider. Coach, your team comes off another disappointing finish, another last-minute loss, and another one that you look at and say there's a lot of things throughout that game that swung the game one direction or the other. But I mean, really, when you boil it down to what seems to be the thing that sticks at you the most from that game.
Well, I think there's, obviously when you lose close games like we've had the last 2 weeks, small things become very significant. And when you win close games, they don't necessarily become as significant. You never evaluate and discriminate good and bad here nearly as with a fine-tooth comb as you do when you lose close games. And so, you look at it, a penalty, a couple critical penalties. A penalty, and we could have been off the field on fourth down, and we were offsides on a punt. They go on to score. Give them a second shot. Ball punted. Ball should be ours. We have the ball in our territory. Instead, it's a first down for them. You have 2 turnovers going in to score, literally going in to score, and you turn the ball over. You snap the ball over your head on your own 5-yard line. Let's just look at those 3 things. And I'm not blaming any kid for anything. We're all human beings. We make mistakes. But those are the kind of things that become very glaring in a game like that. You have a penalty on an interception that would have sealed the game. You hit a quarterback late. It was obviously a very questionable call, and all of a sudden the interception comes off the board. So, those, I think if you look at turnovers and penalties, I think those are things that most coaches in America are complaining about, or not complaining about, but concerned about. The other thing was just their inability to get off the field the final 2 drives. We just couldn't get off the field. And so there are some concerns out there, but nobody's feeling sorry for us. We got to line up and play this week.
Yeah, you mentioned the red zone turnovers. Did it twice. It was the Roberts fumble and then the fumble exchange. And it seems like the fumbles in the red zone have reared their head a lot more this year than years past. Do you look at that as just kids are just maybe making an extra effort that's leading to them exposing the ball, or what do you really look at when you're seeing all this really a rash of red zone turnovers we're not used to seeing?
Yeah, well, I mean, some are center exchanges, some are quarterback, running back exchanges, some are receivers trying to get extra yards. I mean, and people say, well, it's you got to coach. Well, we have drills, we have practices, we devote entire sets of practices to. This is our turnover period on defense where we work at turnovers. This is our ball security period on offense. And so all we do is we work on ball security, 3 different stations, ball security, handoff exchanges, center exchanges before prep. If I knew all those, I'd be God, I guess. I couldn't tell you, Rusty, why. You are exactly right. They're hurting us. When fumble in midfield or something, it's but boy, when they get down there, and you're deep in your own territory, deep in their territory, and there were 3 of them, 2 deep in theirs and 1 in ours, and it's just hard to win. You mentioned the other thing, penalties, 15 penalties for over 153 yards, and you mentioned the roughing the passer. We said it in real time was a bad call. You obviously had the targeting penalty on your sideline, which has since been reversed because Nick Blazek's going to be allowed to play right off the bat. But that's still 13 penalties for over 100 yards. When you look at the tape, what are you seeing that's causing these flags and really these penalties that hurt you for a lot of those drives in the first half? Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at them, the penalties I think that are the most frustrating. There's some of them, even of the 13 that are left. There's still some of theirs that you look back, and they're not penalties, but the ones that are the biggest ones are. We had 3 or 4 block in the back, holding calls with guys trying to extend runs. From one was like on a punt return. We have a big punt return, and then there's a block in the back, and a kid's he's just playing hard. And I think those are the hardest ones to correct too. Are the ones where it's a kid who's really trying to play hard. And a play's being extended, and it's not if the play was over on a 10-yard. It's when a play is now extended over time, and you get locked up with somebody, or you block them in the back, and so those penalties are they're killing us. And you address them, you work on them, it's just hard to imagine. You're offensive lineman, you get a holding call. I was telling somebody the other day, Milliken threw the ball. This is an amazing stat. I brought this up. I don't think people in the stands even knew. Milliken threw the ball 49 times. We got a pretty good defensive line. They didn't have one holding call put on them. I've been coaching 40 years, never even heard about that one. And I'm not sitting here crying spilled milk, but when you add all this stuff up, there's a level of frustration that's building that's become very hard to manage.
You talk about guys making plays, and Phil Nichols is one of those guys. He had an explosive game, and it looked like the second half Jesse was really trying to get him the ball as much as he could, as he should. But when you have explosive guys in a returning game like Nichols, that can kind of add to, it makes it hard for his blockers ahead of him because he has such vision to extend and reverse course, and it kind of puts that. But he's so. Saturday night was a great example of what an explosive athlete he is.
He's unbelievable. He really is. And like I said, we've had a ton of penalties. I shouldn't say a ton. We've had a lot of penalties on his punt returns and on his extended plays on offense. And what happens is it's exactly the same thing. It's a reverse field. You don't even know he's coming, and all of a sudden he's coming back your way. Or it's a punt return, and it's just easy to condemn kids and call them undisciplined and whatever. When at the same time, as you mentioned so articulately, it's a young man who's just extending plays all over the field. And we just continue to work at it and do the best we can.
When you see him have a game like that, where every time he touches the ball, even the one time he made the sliding catch on a punt return just to save the hidden yardage, and does that kind of force you to look at your offensive game plan and say, we need to get him maybe 10 touches in the offense, or find a way to get him more involved?
Yeah, that's why he's returning punts, and now he's returning kickoffs. There's some extra touches right there as well. And so, at the same time, you can beat a kid up like that too. So you gotta be careful, but there's no question. He is really coming into his own, and there'll be an increased effort to get him the ball.
We kind of marvel at his ability to always catch the ball no matter where he's at. And we talk hidden yards all the time. Just being able to catch the ball on the punt. That sliding catch is an example. He reminds you a little bit, the similarities are there between him and Pete, and just the ability to stay calm in traffic and just see the whole field on the returns.
Yeah, it really is. His ability just to focus on a ball. And he has I shouldn't say awkward, but he has a unique. He catches the ball he doesn't catch like a normal punt returner, just cradle the thing in there. He catches the ball like he's a wide receiver. He catches the ball off from his body, and it's really remarkable. He really is remarkable, and he is totally oblivious to everything that's going around about him. And it's just him and the ball.
And yeah, that's a young kid too, only a sophomore. It excites you for how he's going to continue to grow. One of the other things you talk about growth, your team gets down with 9 minutes left, and you guys just come out and methodically drive the field and milk the clock. A very mature drive from your offense in the face of adversity. What did you see in that drive, really, that seemed like the offense just never panicked, just stayed with the course? And that's probably as animated and as involved as we've seen Shola in a drive in maybe his career. It just felt like he was demanding the ball every time.
No, there's no question. The other thing, I think, we had to play a new quarterback this year, and Curtis, I think, is the other guy that you're starting to see his arm strength show up. The kid, he can throw the ball, he can spin it, and you're starting to see that arm strength show up, and you're starting to see him. He's a senior, but he's never played before, and he didn't even dress up last year because of injury. So I think that's the other thing that drive started to show you a little bit of his maturity and him sort of coming into his own as a quarterback.
Yeah, that actually took me to my next question. Was Curtis? He had 3 touchdown passes in the first half, really drilled in a couple of those, and just his ability, it seemed like in the second half when nothing was there, just to get the 10-yard scramble. And that wasn't forced, but just that little bit of ability seemed like it was enough to start holding linebackers and force the coverage to be a little bit truer.
He does. He scrambles better than people think. Because you think of Bowers these last few years, and he's not that, but he's a young man that can create extra yardage. And the thing is, he's got a real strong arm. He's got big hands. He ever shook his hand.
You turn the page now, and you come off 2 disappointing losses coming in the last minute. How do you kind of refocus your group and get them to say, hey, we've got another big one, and North Central, out of it, especially North Central, is not going to have any pity for your last 2 weeks?
No. Well, it's the bell. That's what we've done all week. you lose two like that, and some of your dreams they start to fade a little bit, and so you got to create some momentum and regenerate some momentum. And so we really concentrated on the rivalry and a healthy rivalry for a trophy. There's a lot of Division III schools that play people every week, and there's no rivalry with a trophy or anything. And this is an intense rivalry that spans over a lot of years here. There's a trophy that's being passed back and forth, and so that's been the focus. That's how we try to recenter ourselves and say, hey, let's get this bell back and let's bring the thing back to Wheaton and win this rivalry.
How much does the memory of 2008, where you guys had essentially told guys to turn the equipment in, and all of a sudden you find out you're in the tournament, how much does the memory of that kind of say, hey, this thing may not be done yet? There's a whole lot of weird things that can happen in the last 4 weeks.
We've mentioned 2008 already. The old coach has done that, and so that's been out there, and then you get in, you slip in, and then you win 3 games,
right.
You play 4 extra games, you lose in the semi. So that has been brought to their attention as well as the bell has.
You look at this North Central team, obviously as talented at quarterback as anybody in the country. Your defense seems like the last 6 quarters of the 2 games last year really seemed to bother him. What do you take from those games that were most effective and bring into this one?
Yeah, I think pressure is, the kid is a very good quarterback, no doubt about it. Throws the ball well, he's got a very strong arm, can make all the throws on the field. And so he's good. And the thing is, what you gotta try to do is you gotta bring pressure up in his face. Sometimes you try to come off the edge, and like the kid last week, you just don't let the guy get outside and contain and stuff. And this is a guy that likes to stay in the pocket, step up in the pocket, and just keep climbing. And so, if you look at last year, I mean, we forced him to step up in the pocket into pressure, and I think it's going to be important.
How big is it looking at that playoff game where the first game you kind of struggled to get home to him? You got a little bit of pressure in the second half, but couldn't quite get home. Just the first 5 sacks before halftime, 6 sacks total in that game. How big is that in your ability to see how you can really effectively get to him when you actually get home to the quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, there's confidence that our players have because a lot of those kids were the same kids, and so. So many times you can talk about, well, you guys last year you did this, and this, and I said, well, those aren't the same players anymore. But that's the thing, you bring that up, and it's the same guys. So there's no question that there's a level of confidence in their ability to pressure him.
This seems like a little bit of a retooled North Central offense. As that last year they kind of tended to throw the ball all over the place and struggled to run the ball at times. It looks like just by their scores, they're trying to get Brunig more involved. They've shuffled the offensive line. Looks like they've kind of rededicated themselves to being a little bit more physical, which could be a big factor given the forecast for Saturday night.
Well, the running back's good. I mean, he's always been good. But the thing why I think another reason, any good coach, and Coach Thorne is a good coach, is, they lost some receivers. Now, not to say the receivers aren't even good. They're good, but they lost some big name kids,
right.
and so you add up your touches, and number 25, that tailback, he's got something going, and so you run with your big dog, and he's good, and there's no question. He's going to touch the ball 20 or 25 times. I mean, we got to be ready for that.
And they've kind of had the emergence of a second running back, too, a little bit of a bruiser that's going to finish things along the goal line. How do you prepare your defense for maybe different looks when he's in the game?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. The other kid he's a down-to-down back, and the other kid's more of a short yardage type kid. And so, the only thing when you put him in, you can expect certain things. It's the other kid, you got to defend everything. When that kid comes in the game, you know that they're trying to do just a few things. So what helps you a little bit is the playbook gets narrowed.
You look at them on the other side of the ball, their defense returns quite a lot of talent too. Maybe as good as any D-line you'll face this year with 3 returning all-conference defensive linemen. How do you kind of look at the areas where they're a little bit different from last year defensively?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us is, and I think it's really critical, is you got to run the football, man, and we have to be able to run the football, and it's what we do best. We got a great back, and we got a second quarterback we can bring in to do it, and so the ability to do that is something that regardless of who we play, you got to sort of stay with your identity, and so obviously the forecast lends itself to it as well. But we got to run the ball,
Yeah, when you look at the forecast, you guys have a little bit of experience with that Elmhurst game a couple years ago. But this could be a game that looks a lot like a monsoon for a lot of this, and we could see maybe some thunderstorms cause some delays. How do you kind of prepare your guys for a game where this could turn into a hurry up and wait scenario?
Yeah, I don't know how you prepare. I mean, what do you tell them? It's going to rain. Be ready. You do. I think the biggest thing is you prepare them for not so much the rain as it is the having to come in, come out, re-warm up. Just say, this could happen, and we got to be ready to manage that well. But, we practiced this week. We stayed out 2 days. It rained. Tuesday it rained hard. I shouldn't say hard, but continually. And we stayed out the entire time practicing it, knowing that could happen again. So we did the best we could to prepare for the weather by not coming indoors.
Do you look as you get closer to kickoff, where the radar says, hey, we might have 20 minutes before a delay, and you put an urgency on, hey, let's get the lead before this first break? Is there any of that goes into it?
Oh, there's no question that, it's, when the rain's coming and when it's going to be dry, or affects how whether you want the ball to start with, whether you don't want the ball, and so on and so forth. So we'll see. I mean, it's hard to say. From what I've been told, and I'm not a computer guy, but what I've been told is the rain's going to be early rather than late, at least the heavy rain. So I don't know, Rusty. You might know more than I do.
You look at this game, just the magnitude of this game every year, and you play it this year under the lights. It feels more like a feature game when you're under the lights. Do you feel like this is a game that could benefit from being a night game every year? Absolutely,
no question about it. I think that because of the community. See, both teams are local communities, and I think you're going to draw. Those local communities will come out on a Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. They're running.
Welcome back here to McCulley Stadium. We're at halftime. The North Central Cardinals lead Wheaton 13-7, and that's going to be the most normal part of this pregame thing as we get going here. I'm Rusty Lindsay alongside Doug Rothschild, Dan Studemaker, as we get you set for a second half of football here in the battle for the Little Brass Bell, almost 48 hours after we started the first half of football. So, Doug, we were talking off the air. This feels a little bit like a microcosm of last year, in the sense that you've got two different games against the same opponent. And like last year, North Central kind of dominated the first game, if you consider the first 30 minutes a game. But here we go, round two tonight. Wheaton's going to take the opening kickoff, as we have about 7.5 minutes left before we get going here. But this is going to be different, because this is going to be an all-out sprint to the finish, instead of maybe 30 minutes of feeling each other out before you kind of hammer into your game plan.
Well, certainly Thunder fans are hoping that it's a microcosm of last year. In the first game last year in the regular season, they lost at North Central. In the second game in the playoffs, they finished on top of North Central to move on in the NCAA playoffs in the second round. And if you look at these two halves as kind of two different games, the Thunder are going to need to win the second game, a la the second half, in order to come out on top. They trail 13-7, and what easily could be a much larger advantage for North Central. North Central dominated much of the play in the first half, although even statistically, as we will go down the stats in just a second, couldn't be any more different, though, Dan, than it was Saturday night. Weather-wise, we're sitting here watching the Thorgard and the lightning and pouring rain, torrential downpour, standing water outside the numbers on the field. Tonight, everything is clear, dry as a bell. Actually, potentially a sun issue at the start of the game coming in as the sun sets in the west. It's starting to clear up on the field, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue, but couldn't be more different.
Yeah, you talk about the importance of the weather, and I mean, this is a field that can handle 10 inches of rain an hour. And the field was losing the battle there at the end of the game. I mean, there was standing water on the field, and it got to the point where the athletic directors just had to say, let's just take this to Monday, which is obviously a very strange thing, to your point. But like, here we have second half of a game, 13-7, and now it's like every drive matters in every game. But particularly in this second half, every drive is going to matter. And Wheaton needs to come out and once again establish the physical play that they've been known for in the past, because in the first half of this game, North Central was winning the line at the point, winning the battle at the point of attack and at the line, and they were just whipping Wheaton. And as we mentioned, we're fortunate to be 13-7 in this game, because there were drives where North Central was really taking it to Wheaton, and this had the. But Wheaton was able to come up with a couple of big plays on a pick and on a strip fumble, and here we are 13-7 with an opportunity to have what could be an unbelievable finish of this game.
For those of you who didn't catch us or maybe don't remember the first half, North Central's opening drive of the game lasted about 2 hours from 7 o'clock kickoff. They took that drive 13 plays, 74 yards. They had second and goal at the 5 before we ran into a lightning delay with 9:11 left in the first quarter. Wheaton's defense came out, held them to a field goal of 19 yards by Liam Crotty. That made it 3-0. Then off an interception by Curtis McWilliams, North Central drives the field 56 yards on just 7 plays, a 3-yard touchdown run by Dominic Mugallo, and it was 10-0 with 3:41 left in the first quarter. North Central went in looking to add to that in the middle of the second quarter. Had the ball running inside the 20 with Mugallo, and as Dan mentioned, Corey Kennedy had about as textbook of a strip as you could get going in. It would have been 1st and 10 from inside the 15-yard line, but Kennedy's strip stops the drive, slows the momentum a little bit. Wheaton's able to at least put the game in neutral at that point. North Central would add a field goal with 2:12 left in the half on another late stand by the defense, and then Wheaton drives the field in a minute on 4 plays after a great kickoff return by Carter Roberts, and then it was a 34-yard touchdown pass from Spencer Peterson to Carter Roberts. With a minute 12 left in the half, North Central opted, as they were out of timeouts, just to run a couple of plays. We're on the last 72 seconds off the clock, and here we are. So at that point, we looked at the radar. Really what turned out to be the worst part of the day was on us at that point, and that was a line of storms that kind of generated itself as the evening went on. And as we were kind of wrapping up and getting to the cars after that game was called, that was probably the worst rain we saw all night. So clearly the best decision was made to call this at halftime and play the second half today.
Yeah, no question the weather got extremely foul. Afterwards, it was perfect time. They were very fortunate to actually get most of that the entire first half in on Saturday night, setting up with just nothing more than a bizarre set of circumstances to be playing tonight. Most times, many D3 fans across the country will remember a couple years ago in the playoffs, Mary Hardin Baylor and Texas Lutheran being suspended on a Saturday night due to lightning after majority of the day on and off, and they ended up finishing that on a Sunday. But because of Wheaton's policies, they aren't able to play contests on Sunday, so it was postponed till today, and thus we're about to get underway here in the second half of this game. As you think about the time break and who it might advantage, obviously Wheaton had some momentum scoring late. They were going to get the ball to start the second half. They had momentum going into what was halftime. I'm not sure that momentum is valid at this point. Both teams have been able to go home, sleep in their beds, get their uniforms washed, look at the film, see how the other team has prepared for them, and really, to me, that's an advantage North Central. One, because Wheaton not only can't practice or play on Sunday, they really can't even meet, and I'm quite certain that North Central is able to meet, so they're able to get together, watch the film, and do some modifications. Now, that's off balance a little bit by the fact that Wheaton is on fall break, so none of their team had any classes today, so they're actually probably able, and I haven't talked to any of the coaches, so I don't know for sure, but they are able to get them into the office, have some meetings, look at the tape, make the similar types of adjustments. So that balance, that advantage might have been offset by those two things. It'll be really interesting to see in this 48 hours what kind of changes have been made to the game plan.
Well, both teams are really fortunate this week to be doing what we're talking about. Literally this week on Saturday, both these teams are going to have another CCIW game to play. North Central against Doggy and Wheaton against North Park. So both teams are fortunate in that those are two down teams in the CCIW, so you don't have to. You're not really losing a whole lot of a day, because this is a day typically reserved for films and meetings, anyways. But I think, to Doug's point, I think this is a benefit to both teams. Wheaton relies heavily on their defense to keep them in games, and they're going to be able. They've had the opportunity now to go to the film and really figure out what it was that kept North Central rolling down the field. And that's really, how do they pressure Brock Rudder? How do they make sure that he can't stand in the pocket all day and have the ability to throw the ball? And I think that likely means that they're probably not going to be bringing a whole lot of pressure. They're probably going to rely heavily on their defensive backs to make plays in the defensive backfield. But they need to figure out a way to get those big boys up front on the quarterback so that he can't step back there and show us why he's likely the best quarterback in Division III.
Doug, quickly remind us of the first half stats.
So the Thunder ran 26 plays for 170 yards. McWilliams was 9 of 17 for just 113 yards. Olateju 8 carries, 38 yards, just 23 net on the ground. North Central on the other side ran 42 plays, a full 16 plays more for 263 yards. Brock Rudder 9 of 16, 1 interception, 157 yards. Biggest stat, time of possession. North Central 20 minutes, 18 seconds. Wheaton just 9:42.
So we're underway, kicking off right to left. This is Carter Roberts from the 8 up the right hash, trying to bounce it outside, back, inside, across the 20, and going to be brought down around the 23-yard line. So Wheaton was going to take the ball. The biggest difference as far as the obvious changes is there's a little bit of wind coming right to left. So Wheaton's going to go into the wind here in the third quarter. That wind has died down in probably the last hour or so, so not going to play as much of an issue as it would have around 5 o'clock, but still a little bit of an issue as we go. The sun has set behind the trees here, and it's just a beautiful night for football on Monday Night Football here at McCulley Stadium. I'm Rusty Lindsay along with Doug Rothschild, Dan Studebaker. 1st and 10 for the Thunder at their own 22-yard line as we start the second half. Curtis McWilliams out of the shotgun set. North Central showing blitz off the edge. Snap down, looking on a quick hitter to the outside to Nichols. Completed. Nichols breaks out of one, spinning to the inside, and a host of white shirts going to push him backwards. And McWilliams got lucky there because the lead block got blown up, and Nichols just does a nice job to hold on.
Yeah, North Central was all over that play and very fortunate enough to get enough of the defender to not allow him into the passing lane. But once again on this play, if you were watching on Saturday night, the refs are really letting this game unfold and letting the guys play to the whistle, and that's going to be a factor. Both teams are going to have to hold on to the ball and make sure they don't let it go.
Interestingly, just 3 defensive linemen in the game for North Central. A definite departure of what they usually do. They usually have 4 defensive linemen. Tyler Oakley playing the 4th defensive lineman, who's typically a linebacker, which means they have an extra defensive back in the game.
2nd and 8 from the 24-yard line. Give to Olateju up the middle. Dancing has room, spinning forward, and he almost broke out of that one. Brought down just short of the 30. Olateju in the first half, 8 carries, 38 yards. He left the game briefly with looked like he got a little shaken up, but he came back running hard late in that half, and he almost broke that one. It'll leave 3rd and 4 from the 28.
The extra linebacker is Hunter LeDuc. Is in the game, number 22, 6 foot, 205-pound junior out of Lamont. Comes in, and again, North Central coming out with just 3 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, and 4 defensive backs.
So here's a big 3rd down when you look at it, just because we only have 2 quarters to play tonight. Trips to the right side, they leave the high side open, ball in the middle of the field. 4-man rush, it's picked up. McWilliams with time, going across the middle. He's got his man, it's Lindquist, breaks out of a tackle, 45-40, help from Olateju, 35-30, and he's brought down inside the 30-yard line, and a big strike from Curtis McWilliams.
And just outstanding pocket presence by number 9, Curtis McWilliams, in the face of pressure, stand up, shed one potential tackler, step up in the pocket, and throw the ball to the big man, number 89, downfield for a big gain.
And when you're only rushing 3, they did bring a 4th. That's the difference. You don't have that 4th big putting pressure, pushing the pocket. He's able to stay in there. The Wheaton offensive front holds him off. Again, big play by Lindquist, who struggled in the first half. He had a fumble. He jumped off sides. Need to have him have a big half here for the Thunder.
1st and 10 from the North Central 28-yard line. Twins left, split to the right side. McWilliams, pump fake, flushed out of the pocket. He's going to throw pressure from behind and wisely gets it out of bounds. Just a very smart play by Curtis McWilliams, knowing he had nobody open and pressure coming behind.
Second down.
He got hit hard there by Tommy Sora, and he's looking for his mouthpiece or part of his helmet there. Nice pressure by North Central. They clearly are trying to put a little bit more pressure on McWilliams and on this offensive front for the Thunder.
Yeah, they didn't bring a whole lot of extra pressure. They were very effective with their front 4 on Saturday night, so it'll be interesting as they dial it up. They only brought the 4 on that strike to Lindquist, and McWilliams had too much time. 2nd and 10 now from the 28. Nichols slotted inside of Hanley to the right side. Quick hitter out. It's Nichols behind Hanley, angling to the sideline. Tries to split the 2 defenders. He gets down just short of the 20. And, Doug, we talked about it on Saturday. Their corners leave a lot of room on the outside, and Wheaton's playing with that room here early.
Yeah, if you notice their lineup, they're really lining up with inside leverage on all their receivers, which means hitch routes, out cuts, and those kind of little bubble passes are going to be there. North Central dialing up pressure almost on every snap here, bringing at least 5. There again, Tyler Oakley lined up as the outside linebacker, /defensive end, the rush end, in what is now a 3-4 look for North Central.
And on 3rd down, they will go under center with McWilliams, Olateju, the deep back. 3rd and 3 from the 21. 3 minutes into the second half here. Wheaton still trailing by 6. Olateju charging into the line. Has the first down and more. And brought down by Pat Cravens at the 14-yard line. and Olateju helped up, and Hibbins, this is going to be a big one to watch. Nate Hibbins' helmet came off, so it looks like the man onto the scene now is going to be Nate Thompson, who will have to run one play as the center.
And in that formation right there, Wheaton is basically lining North Central up and saying, we like our big guys against your big guys better. And that's just a great play to run downhill right in the teeth of North Central's front three in this case, and just power running by Shola Olateju, who I see having a much bigger impact on this game in the second half with regards to the carry.
Big shotgun snap here from Warren Thompson.
Yeah. Stacked the 2 wide receivers left as motion comes in from Hanley to the right. Snap is good. McWilliams looking to the right side into the end zone. He's got TJ Williams, touchdown Thunder!
Heck of a drive there by the Thunder, and that's what you have to do to put pressure on this North Central team. That's exactly what the Thunder wanted. Again, these first 2 drives critical. The Thunder holding serve. So the momentum from 2 nights ago, they've carried it on. They've gone through. They've come up with a good game plan. Great execution all the way down the field, coming up with some big plays, all set up by great protection from that offensive line.
TJ Williams dropped a walk-in touchdown on a wheel route in Decatur last Saturday, and he comes up with a huge one here tonight, and an extra point now from Kinnair will give Wheaton the first lead of the game. Good snap put down by Sandy, kick away from Kinnair. It is good. Wheaton has scored the last 14 points, and the Thunder take a 1-point lead. You're going to see it here on the replay, the run by Olateju to pick up the third down, and a nice block by Zach Lindquist of Amate Logan. And then following that, here's the touchdown. It's just an inside corner from TJ Williams, going to run about 10 out and then right to the back pylon, and it just opened up beautifully.
And it really makes you wonder, as we're looking at a different North Central defensive front here, with the ease that Wheaton had on that drive to take the ball down the field and score, how long is North Central going to stay with this new formation, or how long will it take before they go back to what got them here?
Yeah, they tried to jam the freshman running back at the line of scrimmage, and we've seen his elusiveness in the run game, and he just peeled right off the jam.
Well, and the other part is they're trying to jam him with a linebacker. You're talking about TJ Williams, who might be one of the fastest guys in the conference. People don't know that because he's a freshman, and they're putting Workenthien on him, and that's just a matchup the Thunder are going to go after every time they can. And what McWilliams did was he looked back to the left to keep the safety, who's supposed to be giving Workenthien help, to hold him there because they're watching his eyes, and then he comes back to him with a nice throw, and the safety couldn't get there to help.
So Wheaton takes its first lead of the game with 11:28 left here in the third quarter, as Griffin Bowes will kick this one off high, end over end kick. This will be Zane Ladico, right side from the 8, angling to the numbers, gets to the 20 traffic around his feet. He breaks out and will get to the 24-yard line before it looked like Jerome Gray, who wrestled him out of bounds. And North Central will take over their first possession tonight with the gunslinger Brock Rudder.
Rudder just had really, what to my mind, a pretty fantastic first half. Completion percentage-wise, not his best half, but 9 of 16, but just some brilliant throws under a lot of pressure. Wheaton had guys coming free, still gets the ball off. He's throwing the ball before guys come out of their break, right to the right spots at the right time. You're going to have to cover a lot better in order to stop Rudder tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And 9 of 16 in the conditions that we were under on Saturday night is rather impressive, considering some of the big league throws he made.
Hardeman in motion, 2x2, the wide receivers on first down. 4-man rush from the Thunder. Rudder climbs the pocket, delivers into the flat, and it's dropped by Austin Brunig. And it's a little bit of what we talked about. If you can get pressure in his face, around his plant foot, he will sometimes rush throws be not as accurate, and that's what they get right there.
Yeah, and they only got to him a couple of times, Wheaton, on Saturday night, but on the one that stands out was when number 12, Nick Blazek, picked it off, because the ball just, you could tell he was uncomfortable with players at his feet, and he just lobbed it up, and it was very, very much underthrown, and Blazek was able to take it home.
Kaminsky back in motion to slot left. He's been their leading receiver, 96 yards on Saturday night. They're going to look to him into the flat, and a great play made, incomplete, broken up by Luke Smith, and a quick 3rd and 10 for the Cardinals.
Big third down. Rudder was fantastic the other night, completing his third downs and keeping drives along. The Thunder, after scoring, this is a big play in the game right here.
No doubt about it. It's up to the defense to to be extremely efficient on third down, and here's their first opportunity. And again, we can't stress enough the importance of this only being a one-half game. I mean, every drive counts here, so if you can be 1 for 1 on third downs, it's huge to start this game.
Trips left, single right. Nice crowd coming out on a Monday night. The four-man rush. Rudder looking across, and it is incomplete behind Hartema, and the Wheaton defense makes a big stand here to force the first 3 and out and the first punt from North Central in this game.
So advantage Thunder here. They come out and erase that 6-point deficit to take a 1-point lead, then get a 3 and out. And both teams very apparently from the first drive. We'll see if they hold that way. The game plans have changed in the way that North Central is bringing pressure on the Wheaton offense, and the Thunder are not bringing as much pressure. It looks like they want to cover a little bit.
So this will be Ladico the first time we see him out of the punt game, and the always dangerous Philip Nichols back for the Thunder. Ladico waits at the 10-yard line. Nichols will await at his own 40. Good snap. Wheaton will hold up for the return. Powerful kick. Nichols from his own 38. Bobbles momentarily. Angling to the right. Cuts inside. Has a seam. Across midfield into North Central territory. And as he did in Decatur, Philip Nichols setting this offense up pretty well.
He's a great playmaker. He does an exceptional job fielding punts, and he's really quite shifty when he gets the ball in traffic. His arms a little bit dangling, and he looks like he's okay.
That was a little bit what we talked about in the Insider with Coach Swider, is that you want to get him touches, but you got to protect him. He's not a real big guy. So this offense, which is flying high after the first touchdown on the opening possession here of the half, 1st and 10 from the North Central 47. Under center, 7-man front for the Thunder. This will be Olateju. Nope, play fake McWilliams. Pressure in his face, and he is decked by Josh Leonard, trying to get it into the flat, and we saw it a couple times on Saturday. His play fakes were outstanding, but sometimes he doesn't feel where the pressure is coming from, and it takes too long.
Well, again, the problem is as a quarterback, if you know you're booting, you're going to have your back to the defensive end or the outside rusher to the side you're booting to. The last thing you have to do before the snap is look and see who's over there. And you got to know from a numbers perspective if that guy's going to come free or not. You can't go through your fake if you know you got a free blitzer on you.
So now they drop out of the gun. Twins right, split left, 2nd and 10. McWilliams looking right. It's Lindquist behind Nichols, and Lindquist lowers the shoulder, gets inside the 40, and it's going to be 3rd and short. So Wheaton really picking on this space that North Central's giving them on the edge, and they get it into 3rd and 3.
Well, just making number 89 Zach Lindquist a part of this offense once again, and just targeting a guy like that, who's so difficult, as you see here on the replay, so difficult to take down with one guy. The only way you can take him down is if you dive at the mid-thigh. I mean, he'll hurdle you, but there they go at his mid-thigh, and he's still able to get another 2 to 3 yards to make it 3rd and manageable.
Great blitz pickup by Olateju on that play. Here's Spencer Peterson on 3rd and a yard. So Lindquist stretched that. It's 3rd and short. Z motion. He sets up on the guard. He threw for touchdown. Now he goes under center. Quarterback sneak, and he's got enough. That's a great recognition by Peterson. The far spot got to the sticks and a little past. That's great recognition by Peterson. The middle's open. Use your physicality and break right through.
It's going to depend on the mark. It looks from here, they have it.
Move it. Yep, there's the signal.
Just without even a measurement. So they had it by plenty of distance. And to your point, Rusty, great recognition by Peterson to be able to realize that let's just use the big body that I have, take the snap and fall forward for just enough to get the first down. And the Wheaton has the chains moving.
It could easily have been a called play where they practice that and they get up there and they want to get up and snap that thing before the linebackers can come pressure that quarterback sneak.
So it's 1st and 10 from the North Central 37. 7-man front again, hard count for McWilliams. Now he drops back Olateju to his left hip. North Central's defense recalibrates, give to Olateju, breaks a tackle. He's got room, great cut block, 30, 25, 20, one man to beat, and he's not going to do it. A great touchdown-saving tackle by Zach Greenberg, but boy, Phil Nichols with an excellent block on the edge.
Just an excellent block on the edge, but also a great job of him by just realizing you have to let the defender go at some point and not draw a penalty that Wheaton has had such trouble avoiding this year. So let Olateju be the guy who makes the play here right now.
And Workenthien came as a free blitzer off the edge, and Olateju just made him miss. And that, as a blitzer, that kills you. Your defensive coordinator is pulling his hair out right now. It just drives you nuts that you called the right defense, which they did.
Yep.
He doesn't make that play because you're blitzing, then you have no fall-in tacklers.
1st and goal from the 8. Olateju running left. Cuts up behind Jones. He's into the end zone. Touchdown, Thunder.
And the Thunder just as much as North Central dominated the first half so far, the Thunder have dominated this half, taking control, 2 offensive possessions, 2 full field touchdowns.
Boy, that's an impressive reach block by Andrew Jones, and he gives Olateju the room to cut that thing up, and it's a walk-in touchdown for Olateju from there.
Some great adjustments there as the Thunder, as you know, have been outstanding against the run, but it struggled a couple weeks ago against Illinois Wesleyan. They've recommitted themselves to the running game, in particular with Spencer Peterson, to giving the ball up. In every game we've seen, Spencer Peterson in is a Spencer Peterson run. Yep. And in this game, I don't think he's run the ball yet. He's thrown for a touchdown, handed off 2 times for a touchdown, and one of which was called back on Saturday night.
It almost makes you wonder if they've been saving these formations and saving these plays to unfold against North Central. I mean, you talk about that. You talk about the pass that he threw in the first half for a touchdown. Just a great ball to deliver it right at the fingertips in the end zone. And now, I mean, these are plays that North Central has never seen yet. They haven't been able to game plan, haven't been able to scheme. So they're all in on the run when Spencer Peterson is in the game, and now it just gives you a different look.
And just a fantastic block on the replay by Jake Hibben, the center, who started off this year as a backup and came in. I talked to Jesse Scott before the game, which would be Saturday night, about Jake. He loves Jake Hibben. Yep. He calls him the second coming of Spencer Clark, who was a multi-year All-American center for the Thunder. The kid bench presses 400 pounds as a freshman. He's incredibly strong, and if you watch him play, he's extremely aggressive. If you're an offensive or defensive line fan, watch the line play between these two teams. It is impressive and physical.
And that was on Tommy Sora, their stud middle linebacker coming in. This is Ladico again, angling, breaks a tackle at the 20 and slammed down hard by Noah Frazier at the 43-yard line. And I tell you what, as slow a start as Wheaton had on Saturday night, this is as good as we've seen Wheaton in a couple of weeks here.
I mean, I think this is as good as they've played all year. I mean, they're doing it against the number 4 team in the country right now, and really have found something and are having their way with North Central here in the second half of this game.
Well, there's a lot of football to be played. No North Central offense has run just 3 plays and has yet to run the ball. I'd expect them to come out and reestablish the run, and their line was extremely physical in that first half, and I would expect them to start running the ball a little bit here.
They will move the tight end Alex Rose left. He was not in on the possession previous. And again, keep in mind, it's still a 1-score game. Pressure came up the middle. We'll see. It looked momentarily like McCray might get back on sides, and it was a late jump bump from North Central. But the line judge saying there was contact made, thus it'll be offsides against Wheaton.
Defense, number 54.
And it could be an adjustment there as well, as Brock Rutter going to a little bit of a hard count. Wheaton caught North Central on that in the first half Saturday night, and a little bit of a hard count here catches the Thunder defensive line trying to jump the gap.
So it'll be 1st and 5 here for the Cardinals after they went 3 and out with no yards gained on their last drive. 8:55 third quarter. This will be an option to the left side. Pitch is out. Wheaton's got it well covered. And Luke Smith, an excellent tackle. And that'll be back at the original line of scrimmage for a 5-yard loss.
And Rutter is as good an athlete as there is in Division III, but that just isn't his game. He's just not an option quarterback. Yeah, but you do as Rusty just motioned in the box here, you do have to worry about him pulling that up and chucking it downfield. But just great assignment football by Wheaton there to stay home, know their assignments, and bring them down for a loss.
I'll tell you what, I prefer Rutter pulling up on an option to pass the ball than just standing back there and slinging it myself if I'm a coach.
2nd and 11 from the 23. It's a loss of 6 on first down. So they give back the penalty and then some. Play fake off for Brunig, completed underneath, breaks out of 1 tackle, close to a first down. He's going to have it. That's Kaminsky, who was their leading receiver in the first half, and that puts him over 100 yards for the game, and that's really going to be what gets North Central going. He's their biggest receiver as far as numbers this year. That puts him over 500 yards in his freshman campaign. The freshman from South Elgin High School at 5'11", 185 has a very quick rapport with this quarterback, Brock Rutter. Trips to the right side, split left is Josh Ruiz. He's going to pick up Kyle Fox, ball in the middle of the field. Here is Brunig up the middle. Nope, Rutter will pull it out and keep it. I'm not sure that's the right move, as Luke Solly was waiting there. And he had some success in the first half on Saturday night, pulling that ball out and running. That's only a 2-3 yard gain there.
Gain of 3, 2nd and
Rutter's got a fiercely competitive edge to him, and you can see it in the way he prepares, the way he carries himself. And he is going to want to be the guy to carry the football if he needs to, make the throw when he needs to. He wants to make that play.
2nd and 7 from their own 39-yard line. They keep the trips to the right side. Ruiz against Fox underneath. Brunig motioning into the flat. Now Rudder wants him back in the backfield. Now we'll send him out the other direction. 5 on the play clock. Rudder, clean pocket, going to throw into the flat and way over Brunig. And again, it's 3rd down for the Cardinals.
Brings up another critical 3rd down. And just to remind you from the first half, North Central was 4 of 7 on 3rd down. They were 0 for 1 tonight so far. So a 4 of 7 is a very good number. Anytime you can get over 50%, and their number for the season is just right around 50%, which is what they are. They're 4 of 8 now for the game. So big 3rd down here for the Wheaton defense.
Again, we're down to only 22 minutes of game action left as we hit the midway point of the quarter. Here in the 3rd, Wheaton's scored twice and a flag comes down.
Substitution?
Prior to the fall, timeout.
Nope, timeout. So the official just...
They were going to run out of time.
Interesting, he threw the flag from the backfield.
He threw the flag from the backfield and then called timeout. And then awarded the timeout to North Central.
Well, the timeout was called by the side judge, I believe, and the referee was calling it for the delay of game. And once they conferred, they saw that they had gotten the timeout first. So again, first half. Remember, North Central burnt 2 of their timeouts on the first drive, then used the final one just before half, or during the final, about 3 minutes left in the half. And now here they are burning one of their timeouts here because they're not able to get the play in time.
Yeah, and that's the second play in a row, really, where Brunig just wasn't in the right spot, had motioned in the wrong direction, then motioned in the right direction, and then Rudder just wasn't on time with him. And that becomes important because if Wheaton's able to get off the field here for the second time on 3rd down tonight, you become an emboldened defense, and it really just continues to swing the momentum in Wheaton's favor.
2x2 the wide receivers. 3rd and 7 for the Cardinals with 7:02 left in the 3rd. Hardeman motions into a stack right. Move the pocket to the right side. Rudder steps up. He'll throw up the seam, and is it picked off? Wheaton
like
had double coverage there.
Yes.
Wheaton football. That's picked off. And again, it's Luke Smith.
Wow. He threw that into coverage. I'm not sure what he saw there, but that's just not a great throw from Brock Rudder on a 3rd down. And they're sprinting him out, which, again, he hasn't had much pressure in this game the first couple series, so I don't understand the need to sprint him out in that situation. He also could have just tucked it up and probably run. He had plenty of green in front of him for the first down.
Rudder's thrown 7 interceptions in his North Central career. He's thrown 3 of them against Wheaton and 2 of them in this game. 1st and 10 from their own 35. The Thunder can really put North Central on the ropes with a score here. They've scored both times they've had the ball here tonight. This is Olateju on the misdirection, following Parker. Great job on the backside pursuit.
That's a freshman defensive end.
Talia Ayan.
Very athletic, very quick guy. He had 3 sacks last week against North Park. They love his athleticism and his speed, and he showed it there. If you can chase down Olateju from the backside, you can run.
And that's a big one because he had blockers in front of him, and that's a block that I think Drew Smith got a little lazy on his reach with, knowing that the play was going away from him. But he had 2 pulling guys in front of him, and they had the edge set. But it ends up being a 2-yard gain, 2nd and 8 from the 37. Wheaton playing from ahead here, looking to just power this thing away. They pump fake into the flat. Olateju patiently running, trying to bounce it. Breaks a couple of tackles, and he's going to give up some yardage here because he willingly went backwards. And this will be 3rd and 13 after the loss.
42, Ayan.
Tough down and distance here for the Thunder. Coming into this in the first half, they were just 1 of 4. They did convert a couple of 3rd downs in the first 2 drives, so they've improved that number substantially. But 3rd and 12 against this defense is a tough number. Now, it's interesting to note, too, that the North Central D-line is back to 4 defensive linemen.
They bring in Aon as the 3rd guy. Trips to the right side, 3rd and 12 from the 33. 4-man rush. Wheaton blocks it up well. Clean pocket, McWilliams. He's looking to sling it. He's got Hanley complete at the 40. Hanley with a run after the catch now, brought down just shy of the North Central 30. And Hanley, who has had numerous big catches against North Central in his career, puts another one on his resume there.
I mean, that guy just finds a way to make the big catch in seemingly almost every game. And it's good to have a guy like that healthy because you can see the protection is unbelievable, and McWilliams is able to step up in the pocket and deliver a dime to Hanley, and just throws a perfect ball across the middle of the field. Hanley's able to make the play for a big yardage, and I mean, Wheaton's rolling again.
This is a different Curtis McWilliams we're seeing here tonight. That's a gunslinger out there for the Thunder. 1st and 10 from the North Central 31. Play fake. Time in the pocket. He'll throw it again. Has his man sliding back to the ball, Nichols, and they'll say it's incomplete at the 10. So they're going to say he secured the ball by hitting it against the turf.
I think that's right. That's what it looked like to
from
me.
what we saw, I think we'll see it again here on the Realty Executives replay. But I think that is the right call, as you said, Doug. It's a sliding catch thrown short. Yeah, I think that's absolutely the right call.
Yeah.
Great call by the line judge.
And Rusty, to your comment about a different McWilliams, the tale of this game so far is the difference in the line play. I mean, Wheaton's completely dominating North Central up front. Part of it is because they're in a 3-man front, but Wheaton's just completely overwhelming them.
Stretch Olateju, he's got the corner, 30, and he's going to be brought down before he can turn it. Great tackle by Pat Cravens, but again, if he breaks that tackle, Nichols with another excellent cut block outside. I think it's Cravens or nobody on that play for North Central.
Brings up a key 3rd down, but it's a 3rd and manageable, just 6 yards. The Thunder have been exceptional so far in this game, just knocking on the door of the red zone here. Be interesting to see if this is 2-down territory, 4-down territory for the Thunder. They're right at about the range I think they would be comfortable with a field goal.
From here, it's a 44-yard attempt from Kinnair, who's got the leg, and the wind has really died down to nothing here tonight. 4-man rush. They're going to go into the flat, completed to Nichols. Nichols running for the sticks. He's got the first down, breaks a couple of tackles, and down to the 15-yard line. Doug, you called for it all first half on Saturday night, and there it is.
You got to attack the wide side flat against this defense. They're playing inside leverage and way off. That little outcut you can get all day long. There won't be a time you don't get it unless they change to a different coverage, at which point it's going to open up other things. So the coaches clearly saw that. I didn't talk to them. I'm sure they saw it on their own, but they did a nice job of taking advantage of what North Central's given them.
But again, McWilliams stands in there and throws a ball that really leads him to the outside and upfield. That's an easy throw to stop his momentum on, and instead he leads him to safety. 1st and 10 from the North Central 15. Play fake off Olateju, steps up to avoid the pressure. Delivering to the flat, it's complete to Hanley, breaks the tackle. Hanley powering through, ball came loose, but the arms are already up. Touchdown Thunder.
We heard what an unbelievable play once again by McWilliams to find space, deliver the ball to Hanley, but we are very, very fortunate that those arms went up because he fumbled that ball out of bounds inside the pylon. So very, very fortunate.
Shades
to
of
have
the
that
Jets
touchdown.
Patriots from yesterday, which you don't usually get to quote an NFL game at a Division III game the next day. So
on Monday Night Football as well. But again, the importance of that is if they hadn't called the touchdown and he hadn't called it so quickly, that could have been a touchback. So just a great play once again by McWilliams to find Hanley, who always seems to find a way to get open in space.
This is just a shocking display of football from the Thunder here to open up this second half. Coming out with 3 straight touchdowns, stopping North Central 2 straight times, 1 with a turnover or 1 with a punt. Fantastic block by Drew Smith to stay on Leonard here, who was going to be open against McWilliams. And again, great throw, planting the inside foot. Hanley racing for the pylon. Takes the contact.
Yeah, he reached it first. That's where he broke it.
He broke the plane, and the official was right there, and then it was knocked out after he crossed. That was a good call.
Dangerous, though. You never want to reach with the inside arm like that, but Hanley knew exactly where he was on the field. The biggest thing I've seen from Hanley, that's twice now, that he's made a jump back to the ball that's allowed him to break tackles and keep the ball away from defenders.
Now, this performance by the Thunder offense really changes the complexion of the game, obviously from a momentum standpoint and a confidence level, but in terms of your play calling on North Central now, you're starting to say, if you're Jeff Thorne, you're like, hey, my defense is not stopping these guys. So I got to open it up a little bit. It's harder to commit yourself and to stay with the running game when you're down, when you've just watched the other team score 3 straight touchdowns right down the field on you.
Well, and on the other side of the ball, you have Wheaton, who now has a 28-13 lead. They now go into the point where we have 3:24 left in the third quarter here. You go into a mode where you start to try to run the clock down, as North Central tried to do in the first half of this game on Saturday night.
This will be, again, Ladico angling to the middle. He's got a seam. that it closes quickly around the 27-yard line. But this is as good as we've seen Wheaton since week 3. I mean, it's been a long time. They're flying to the football. The offense is holding their own on the line of scrimmage. Shola's running with authority. I mean, this is the Wheaton team we've expected all year.
I mean, this shows you why Wheaton was at one point ranked number 4 in the country. I mean, this is the team that we expected coming into the season, and they have absolutely responded to the adversity that they faced all season, coming off of 2 straight losses. I mean, this is the number 4 team in the country that they're now taking it to.
1st and 10 from their own 27 for Rudder and company, who now are seeing red here as they hand off to Brunig, and Brunig will get a yard or two and brought down just shy of the 30. This becomes a huge drive.
And you start to think about, the time off from Saturday to Monday, and you wonder, what decisions coaches made, what adjustments they made, and I have to think that North Central did a bulk of their teamwork and preparation on Sunday. The Thunder gave their team Sunday to rest and did all their work on Monday this morning with no classes. That could have been a big advantage.
2nd and 8 from the 29. Wide receiver split 2 and 2. Brunig in motion to the flat. 4-man rush. Rudder delivers over the middle, complete. And Kaminsky's going to be brought down. It looks like he's going to be maybe just shy. I thought initially he had enough, but the spot is short.
They'll bring up a critical 3rd down and short. In comes the big guy. They usually bring in number 53, and they do as an up back / a guard. He's a backup guard, Nathan Gray. He comes in as the
Oh, no, they moved the chains.
Oh, they did give him the 1st down.
Very late, they moved the chains.
Let's see if they stay with this formation.
53 is not coming off the field, so it looks like they want to go power here.
He is their blocking back when they like to run the ball. And it's an outside zone usually when he lines up outside the guard, and an inside power when he lines up inside.
Wheaton does a great job getting back onside there. Play clock's at 2. Play fake for Rudder. Pressure coming. Rudder's going to throw it into the bench. Greenlee chased him down, beat the guard off, or the tackle off the edge, and Rudder does the smart thing, lives to see another down.
And that's really the first time that Wheaton's had any pressure with their front 3. So it's good to see those guys finally starting to dial it up and get at Rudder's feet, which is, as we talked about in the pregame, where when he has people at his feet and when he's under pressure, he gets rid of the ball really quickly, and oftentimes that can lead to a ball that floats.
They were almost going Wildcat here, but now they're going to keep Rudder back in. Number 2 is the guy who comes in when they run their Wildcat package.
That's Jalen Dennis. He's a wide receiver, but instead they go 5 wide. First time we've seen this look in the game. 4-man rush for Rudder. Flushed out of the pocket, pressure in his face. Has Kaminsky completed, stays in bounds around midfield, and he will step out of bounds at the Wheaton 40. Looks like we're at the 44. That's a great ball against your momentum from Rudder.
Well, they're trying to get pressure on him up the middle, as you can see, and they're doing that. He's flushing himself out. Massive holding call that is not called on, I don't know if that's Greenlee or Austin Hoover, but that's pretty clear from the replay. Great job by Rudder to buy time and get the ball off.
I like this look here for North Central with their wide receivers having to flush this secondary full. 4 wide. Boy, he takes a hit. Completes a pass to Hartema. That was a big hit coming up the middle from Pat O'Connell, but a great job by Rudder to stay in the face of pressure and deliver a seed to Corey Hartema.
Yeah, he got hit real hard there. That's one you're going to remember and feel it. And, with a lot of quarterbacks, it's going to make you question how hard you want to step into those throws over the middle.
2nd and 2 from the 37. This has been a couple of good plays here for North Central. Design quarterback run, has the 1st down and more, sliding down at the 18-yard line. Luke Smith there to stop him, and that's about as good as you can do defensively to not get called for that. But it moves the chains on the smart play call here by the Cardinals.
Well, and he was very fortunate to give up a bit and not lead with his shoulder. He kind of just gave his body up, which is, it calls to mind the targeting penalty they had against Mary Hardin Baylor last year, where a player gets ejected for it, but just a really good designed run play up the middle by North Central and Brock Rudder.
Inside a minute left, 3rd quarter. 1st and 10 from the 30 for the Cardinals. 4-man rush. Rudder looking to his right. Has Jalen Dennis complete, and he will sidestep a tackle and get out of bounds at the 14-yard line. And here we're seeing North Central hitting their stride a little bit. It took a little longer, but they are hitting it here with this 5-wide set.
And to Doug's point a bit earlier, Wheaton's come out of the gate in the second half very, very hot, but North Central is showing you now this is a high-powered offense, and they can score very quickly. So this game is far from over.
Spread the field. 1st and 10 from the 14. Looking to the right again, going up the rail. Wow. And incomplete.
It looked like he snagged it for a second.
It did, and Wheaton's had some ghosts on a ball just like that this year.
And North Central's is also taking a page out of Wheaton's playbook and attacking the flats and the outside, the perimeter of this Wheaton defense, which is the right place to go. That's where the matchups are. That's where the soft spot in this defense is.
Marcus Smith did a great job getting his head around. 2nd and 10. Rudder, pressure coming. Going to deliver to the left side. In traffic, just drills it into Michael Svikas. And that'll set up 1st and goal. Inside the 5, they'll mark him at the 4.
And when he puts his feet into the ball and he steps up in the pocket and throws, he throws it as hard as anybody that we've seen with astounding accuracy. I mean, this ball is, you have no choice but to catch that if you're a receiver because he puts it right on the hands.
North Central now will go to their goal line package. They bring in Mugallo. They're taking their time here. This might be the last play of should be the last play of the 3rd quarter.
Still Brunig. Running
Mugallo came in and then checked right back off to the sideline. Game clock's only at 5 here. They keep 4 wide receivers. Play clock at 2, 1. They're not going to get it off in time. End of the 3rd quarter.
That is the end of the
So 15 minutes to play. Put up the 4s on both sidelines. This game has changed completely in 15 minutes.
Yeah, now, I mean, it's really going to be about the defense that makes us gets a stop. At this point, Rudder has reestablished himself. He's moving the ball down the field. They got to finish this off. You got to remember in the first half, they had 2 drives inside the 5 that they only got field goals out of. So this is a super important drive for North Central that they're able to get a touchdown instead of a field goal because they're playing catch-up at this point with just 15 minutes to go in the game.
The other important thing is they're chasing 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion, which they likely won't do yet. You try to put that off as long as you can, but while it is 2 possessions, there's got to be a 2-point conversion at some point. But boy, that's the Wheaton team we saw for the first 3 weeks of the season. And that is as good as the Thunder have looked since. Offense just flying around as Doug's got the stats.
So big discrepancy here now is the time of possession is evened out a little bit, but still not entirely. The Thunder have now run 45 plays for 360 yards in the game. McWilliams is 16 of 27 for 252 yards, 2 touchdowns. Olateju, 15 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown, 5.9 yards per carry, which is right at his average. North Central, 59 plays, 342 yards. Rudder, 15 of 29, 2 interceptions and a touchdown. Brunig, 21 carries, 74 yards, 3.5-yard average.
Mugallo in the game now behind Rudder. Big set, give up the middle. Mugallo breaks free, and he's into the end zone. Not surprising, they go right back to the bell cow who had the touchdown in the first half. That's his 11th of the year, and here comes a big extra point for North Central. Crotty has missed 4 extra points this year, and if he misses this one, it remains a 2-score game.
He's not going to miss this one. Senior in the bell game.
Maybe a little reverse psychology here, Doug. I see what you're trying to do.
Trying to go for the reverse curse.
I see what you're trying to do, Doug.
I'm telling you, he's a senior in the bell game. He's not going to miss it.
Kick is up. It is good. So we've got just shy of 15 minutes left, 3 seconds into the 4th quarter, and North Central has answered 28-20 now our score, and this is feeling like shades of 2014 here, where that game came down to a last-second field goal by Sam Cody.
Round out some stats here on the receiving end. Zach Lindquist, 5 catches, 78 yards. Philip Nichols, 4 for 33. Trey Hanley, 3 for 73 and a touchdown. Carter Roberts, 2 for 72 and a touchdown. On the defensive side, Eric Stevenson with 8 hits. Luke Solly with 6. Luke Smith, the safety, with 6. Dallas McCray with 5. On the flip side for North Central, we mentioned Austin Brunig, 21 carries, 74 yards. Rudder has 4 carries for 34 yards. Receiving, Kaminsky, 8 for 127. Svikas, 3 for 61. Defensively, Tyler Oakley, Mike Zebold, Pat Kravitz, and Tom Sora, all with 4 tackles in the game. Time of possession changed a little bit, still in North Central's favor. Wheaton with 18 minutes and 40 seconds. North Central with 26-20.
Yeah, North Central really took a lot of the clock in the first half, especially that first quarter. So teed up for Crotty, and they'll drive this thing down. A knuckling ground ball going to be picked up and run to the sideline. And up the sideline. Great job by Luke Van Dyke. That was an impressive kick. They're just a knuckling grounder, what you would define as a worm burner in baseball. And Noah Frazier bobbled it, but Luke Van Dyke picked it up after the bobble and got us about 10 yards of field position there.
Yeah, nice job by Luke. And again, you don't necessarily want to just fall on that ball. You can pick it up and try to get it out of bounds or get a few yards. You want to be careful because you don't have your full blocking scheme, but you're not taking a bunch of hits on the football. Important drive here for the Thunder now. They've been moving the ball. They got to keep doing what they're doing and taking advantage of what North Central's giving them.
1st and 10 from their own 37 as McWilliams moves the outside receiver Hanley next to Nichols on the right hash. Ball on their own 37 to start this drive. Nichols will slide down outside the right tackle. Olateju misdirection behind John Calloway. Olateju still following Calloway, breaks across the 40, spinning up to the 44-yard line. Patient running and a great job by Calloway just to keep working himself up to the next man.
Yeah, and just a great job by being patient there by Shola to wait for the big man John Calloway to get there. And I expect to see a lot more of that as the game unfolds here with 14:30 left in the game. Feels weird to say that because we've only been up here for 16 minutes or so, but Olateju needs to keep moving the ball.
Olateju's run for 50 yards here in the second half alone. He had 9 carries for 38 on Saturday night. He's at 16 for 88, now 94. 2nd and 4. Olateju stretching to the left side, has the first down, bouncing to the outside 50, 45-40 behind Carter Roberts and out of bounds inside the 35. We could have 15 and we more. 15 more yards, and Olateju exploded through that hole, and Andrew Jones again sets up the big run.
Great blocking all around for Wheaton there, but just the extra little bit of shove there from the North Central defender who's for obvious reasons becoming a little bit frustrated, but the guy's going out of bounds and he just extends his arm a bit.
That's Thursby, yeah.
Push him down.
That's a 2-time all-conference defender. You've got to expect better from your seniors.
Yeah, I don't like that call. I know it was in Wheaton's favor, but I mean, it's football, man. If you can't handle a little pushing, then you shouldn't be playing the sport. So it's Wheaton's benefit. I get that, but if it was going the other way, I'd be complaining too. I personally just don't like that call.
It's a rivalry game. You're into the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Absolutely. Those are the penalties that we've seen go against Wheaton the last couple of weeks. Yeah. So Wheaton's probably happy to see one go in their favor. And it moves the ball down into the red zone yet again at the North Central 18-yard line. So well within Stephen Kinnear's field goal range, which would make it a 2-score game. Carter Roberts split to the left by himself. 5-man rush. McWilliams will roll to the right side. He's got a man up the rail. It's Hanley. Touchdown, Thunder!
Did he hang on to it?
Yes, he did.
He beat him on an out and up off the sprint out. Again, beat him just cleanly. A great move out and up by Hanley, and perfect throw there by McWilliams. The Thunder are on fire on offense.
Actually, that's Phil Nichols. Nichols and Hanley look so much alike. And Nichols with a perfect wheel route. Great play design by Jesse and Taylor there. And he just ran wide open up the rail there. And Wheaton answers a punch with what might be a knockout here just over a minute and a half later. Kinnear for the extra point. John Vargas the long snapper. Adam Sandy the holder. Good snap, good hold, good kick. 35-20. Wheaton's outscored the Cardinals 28-7 tonight.
I mean, I'm astonished, really. What nobody could have expected this. There's no one who expected this, obviously outside of that Thunder locker room. That when they get out in the first half, they get 7 points off of an option pass from Spencer Peterson to Carter Roberts in the first half. That's the only 7 they get. Really, the only time they sniff near the end zone in the first half. To come out with this kind of offensive explosion is nothing short of spectacular. Yeah. So credit the coaches, credit these players. A guy like Zach Lindquist, who played really poorly in the first half, has been exceptional, both in the blocking game right there. He picked up a blitz coming off the edge there to make sure McWilliams had time. He's made a couple big catches. He's blocking the ball. He's running the ball. These kids are playing hard. Sola has been on fire. He's running the ball the way you expect him to, and the way McWilliams is throwing the ball, you have to give that kid a lot of credit. We criticized him early in the year for locking in on receivers and rushing the throws. He's been great up front. He's been great reading the pocket and shifting his eyes and setting his feet to throw the ball, but that also has been a lot of help from the offensive line.
You mentioned in the beginning or throughout the game so far that the matchup to watch here is the offense versus the defensive line. And in the first half of this game on Saturday night, North Central was absolutely having their way with Wheaton's offense and defensive line both, and it's the complete opposite tonight. As Wheaton responded to something, some sort of call to action. I mean, both the offense and defensive line are just physically dominating the Cardinals right now, and that's the tale of the game right now. Is Wheaton's come out and forced 2 3-and-outs, and now they've put the ball in the end zone on every drive so far. It's just a completely different game, and Wheaton's really rolling now.
And you're not at the point where, for your North Central, where you give up the running game, because you're still a 2-score game. But if you're Jeff Thorne, you're thinking, my defense hasn't stopped these guys yet, so we have got to keep scoring, because this is going to be a shootout in order for them to win. That's what has to be what they're thinking at this point. So I don't think they abandon the running game yet, but they got to move down the field quickly.
Twins left, split right. As Rudder play fakes, drops back in the pocket. He's going to go down. Chase Greenlee coming around the edge. Rudder was able, I think. No, he did not get back to the line of scrimmage. That's career sack number 25 for Chase Greenlee.
It's a matter of time before you call that young man's name. I mean, he just continues. Just a great swim move followed by a dip and rip there. Just a great job by that guy to get to the quarterback. And Doug, to your point, I mean, Brunig had 19 carries in the first half of this game on Saturday night, and he's been almost invisible in this game. He has, or in this second half. I mean, he's barely touched the ball. They've gone to him in the passing game a couple of times, but at 35-20, you're not talking about abandoning the run. They've already done that, it seems.
Brunig motioning back to the right hip of Rudder here. Play clock's at 5. They continue to discuss amongst themselves. Play fake again. Going to drop into the flat. It's tipped and incomplete. It's the defensive end, Hoover.
That was Greenlee.
That's Greenlee again,
Yeah.
rolled to the other side. Greenlee taking over this game. He beat Berknuck last time. This time he beats the all-conference tackle, the all-region tackle Fairley to get his hands up.
That's his second batted ball of the game. He had a batted ball in the first half.
And it's not a huge crowd like you would expect for the Bell, but it's hard to imagine the last time. It might have been 2014 where we saw this kind of energy in McCulley Stadium.
Big third down here.
I mean, this is a huge third down. Wheaton can get off the field here and take the ball back and take some time off the clock and put another ball in the end zone. I mean, it's...
Rudder looking across the middle. Now he's going to roll to his left. Chased by Greenlee. Coming up, Kennedy. He's going to keep it. He's not going to get close.
And he's hit again. Driven out of bounds by a couple of Wheaton defenders. And Brock Rudder's been taking some hits. He's starting to show a little bit of frustration as he comes back onto the field. He is talking to the head official.
Well, and Kennedy did a great job. He went airborne, but also grabbed enough of him while he was in the air to not let Rudder turn the corner.
Rudder's on the field.
Wow, they're going to roll the dice right now. Wow. That they're going to put the game up for grabs right now.
Yeah, they're going for it. 11:55. I think Jeff Thorne says my defense can't stop these guys. I got to put it in Brock Rudder's hands. Big gamble here.
5 wides for the Cardinals, 4th and 5. Wheaton brings pressure up the middle. Rudder has it incomplete. He threw it behind Jalen Dennis.
That's a desperation play by North Central.
Yeah, that's mind-boggling. It's just a 2-score game. You're going to get at least 2 more possessions. You got to do something on defense and try to change it up.
It's a two-score game with probably the best quarterback in all of Division III on your sideline or in your huddle.
And the problem here is you just gave it to Wheaton in field goal position.
Yeah, and against an offense that has had no trouble moving the ball down the field.
So if the Thunder can run some clock here, end up getting at least a field goal, they're going to make it a 3-score game. This puts North Central in a huge hole. I'm really surprised by the call. I understand it as a coach. You just watched your defense. They've marched up and down the field on your defense.
Yeah, that just seems like a panicked move by a coach who doesn't have answers for what Wheaton has done here in the second half, and Wheaton's going to have to call timeout as the play clock was already at 0 here with 11:42 left. That's the first timeout of the half.
I mean, you never want to come out of a turnover on downs like that and need to call a timeout. But
well, I don't understand how the play clocks work, because you see that more and more. You don't just see it in college. Right. I've seen it in the NFL now. They're trying to speed up these games or something, but you used to never see that coming out on downs. So I used to think, okay, the offense has got a problem if they can't get on the field and get a play run with the play clock, but you just see that so much more now. I don't know if they're running less time on the clock or not, but
or if they're just setting the ball so quickly. But my point is, if you're Wheaton there up 35-20, even if you have to burn a timeout with 11:42 left in the fourth quarter, you want to get your play called here, because this drive could be the final dagger. I mean, it could be the one that puts you up by 3 scores
and
really wins the bell.
It's worth noting, you start to look at scenarios where Wheaton's still alive for a conference title. It comes down to point differential. Mike Swider lost the conference title a couple years ago because he shut it down up a couple scores. They took a knee on the 2-yard line against Carthage earlier. This could get big when you're looking big picture, this possession right here. Leading by 15, 11:42 left. McWilliams brings Hanley in motion into the slot left, and he will face a 4-man rush. Pressure coming, delivers a ball, complete to Nichols. Nichols breaks out of one, cutting outside, breaks out of another, spinning to the inside, and is inside the 10, down to the 8-yard line.
That's the exact route we've been looking for the whole first half. You just have inside leverage, and you throw a simple hitch route out wide, and they're giving that to you the way they're lined up. Simple 6-8-yard hitch route. Guy comes free on an inside rush, and he still gets the ball off, and you come up with that big play.
Rusty, to your point, we've talked about this in the past, where we'd like to see. You talk about the win big and needing to show the regional voters and regional rankings that you have the capability of blowing out. But in this game right here, to your point, with the CCIW on the line and that playoff on the round, Wheaton's going to keep its foot on the gas.
Yeah, and you've got a national stage right now. You're the only game going on right now. Olateju running to the right side, cuts it up, cuts it back, and a touchdown saving tackle perhaps made by Tommy Sora, who I think that's his first time we've called his name here in the second half.
Yeah, great play by Tommy there. He's a fantastic linebacker, has a nose for the football, and was one of the leading tacklers prior to that, and makes a great play there, changing direction and coming back and getting up on Olateju. Otherwise, he walks into the end zone.
Yeah, to your point, Dan, this is a chance for Wheaton to show that they're not the team that lost the last 2 weeks. That here you are really taking it to the number 4 team in the country with all eyes on you here tonight. They give it a 2-yard gain. It's 2nd and goal from the 7. Twins to the right side, double tight look. Olateju will take the handoff. Olateju cuts inside. He's inside the 5. Nice tackle made there by Sturzma. Grabbed him around the shoulder pads, won't let him go, and it comes down to what may be a big 3rd down here for North Central, because if they can force the field goal, it's still just a 2-score game. Now, correction, that would push it to 18,
yeah,
so that is 3.
The biggest thing is the clock now. The Thunder want this clock to keep running, so, I'd be surprised if Swider's sitting there going, it's a 3-score game either way. He's telling the coaches right now, keep this ball on the ground, run this sucker down.
Shola had 38 yards rushing in the first half. He's at 123 now.
They're going to take a timeout here. I think they're just running it down to a second, then he's going to take a timeout.
And this is a good time to take one here because this is a big play. Make sure you've got the right look.
Yeah, take the time, huddle up, get the play that you get, the absolute best play that you have in your playbook right now against North Central's front. Put this ball in the end zone and don't look back.
I don't want to jinx anybody by getting premature and start talking about playoffs like you did just a minute ago, but I do have some thoughts on what you said in terms of point differential. Point differential is about the 3rd tiebreaker, and that happens when there's a 3-way tie. You're talking about a scenario with the CCLW with potentially 5 teams across the top. So the number 1 criterion is going to be head-to-head, and if Milliken's one of those teams, then Wheaton's out of that equation based on head-to-head, and then they recompare them. So the head-to-head is going to take care of a lot of those scenarios. It has to be 4, probably at least 4 equal teams that have all beaten each other.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure that's possible.
You're looking at needing to get 4 teams to 6-2, which would need Carthage over North Central, Milliken over Wesleyan, and I believe Carthage over Milliken. Wheaton still needs a number of games to go their way to get to that scenario, but there is a scenario with their 4 teams tied at 6-2.
Well, Carthage would have to lose a second game somewhere.
Correct. I believe it's Wesleyan over Carthage, and then Milliken over Wesleyan. 3rd and goal from the 4. This will be a handoff Olateju. No, it's McWilliams trying to win the race. He cuts it up. It's going to be close. He's in. Touchdown, Thunder.
That's a big call there, boy. That kid never carries the ball, and you pick the right time to dial up that keeper. Big play by the Thunder now, and now the pressure is solidly on North Central.
Yeah, that's a gutsy call by Jesse Scott. You've got Shola rolling, and you pull the ball out of his hands and keep it with your quarterback. But he felt the defense was going to collapse on Shola, and it was 1-on-1 to the end zone, and McWilliams made the right move to get in.
Great call there. Just a fantastic call.
So with 9:24 left in the game, Kinnear to make it a 42-20 game, and we have all sorts of chaos here. The ball never gets snapped. The line collapses. You have to sort this one back. You have to assume there's some sort of snap infraction that many guys came over.
That's usually against the kicking team. I mean, there is no count. There's no verbal count on a PAT or a field goal, so there's nothing to jump off of. You're always just watching the snap. So it's really hard to jump off sides as a defensive player because there's literally no calls being made. Everybody just gets lined up, and the center looks between his legs, and when the holder puts his hand up, he snaps it at his leisure at that point. And the kicker's watching the hand that's down for the holder, and as soon as that hand goes up to catch it, he starts his motion. That's all it is.
So Kinnear will drop back 5 yards and try it. The ball marked on to 7, so this will be a 25-yard extra point. Good snap, good hold. Pressure does come up the middle, but the extra point is good for Stephen Kinnear. Curtis McWilliams is averaging 164 yards a game. Here in the second half alone, he has 260 yards. I mean, this has just been a flawless half of football from Curtis McWilliams, who looks almost in the second half like him and Rudder have traded places. This is what you expect from Brock Rudder, but Curtis McWilliams has been an all-star here.
Well, he's been the better number 9, that's for sure, in the second half.
Well, really, I can't pound the point home enough. Really, offensive line play can make a lot of quarterbacks look really good, and Curtis McWilliams is making great throws, but he has seemingly all of the time in the world right now, and they're making plays to his strength, and that's getting him out of the pocket and being able to throw.
It's a great point, Dan. If I watched the film from Saturday night, and Andrew Jones, great as an offensive tackle he is, Billy Dowds was giving him fits.
Yep.
Billy Dowds is a great hands player. He's really good at swiping your hands off him and then dipping his shoulder. And Andrew Jones just wasn't keeping his outside foot moving against Billy Dowds. He's done it tonight. He hasn't even gotten him anywhere near the quarterback. McWilliams' jersey's been clean, so credit that offensive line for giving him all kinds of time, and McWilliams for the poise that he's had to execute.
Not only that, but he's pushed Dowds out on a couple of big runs by Olateju.
You got a tackle here.
It's going to go out of bounds. It's not going to. The bounce takes a Wheaton bounce into the end zone. That ball landed in the corner at the 4, looked like it would go out of bounds, and instead bounces into the end zone. That's really that kind of sums up what's been going on tonight. Everything has gone Wheaton's way.
Sure has, and they're winning the turnover battle. They haven't turned it over yet, and they've gotten the interception off of Rudder, in which they're leading the turnover battle for the game, because in the first half they finished three turnovers to 2. North Central with 3, Wheaton with 2, so now it's 4-2.
Well, and now that North Central has decided on that last drive that they're going to go for it on 4th down, I mean that's
committed
their
to
decision
it now.
For the rest of the game. They're committed to it. Every spot on the field now is 4-down territory, so Wheaton can sort of pin its ears back if you're the defensive line.
This is where Greenlee excels. Looking right, it's a quick out to Hardema, completed, and he will get no further. Nice job by Marcus Smith closing the gap. Luke Solly from the inside.
And you'll be content to give up those plays the rest of the way here. You do not want the ball down the field. You're going to make them go earn 3 touchdowns and then make their defense get off the field, which is a tough recipe for North Central fans right now.
Wheaton has scored in all 5 possessions tonight. The Cardinals have scored in just 1 of their 4. 2nd and 5. Here's Rudder. Pressure comes up the middle. Pocket collapsing. Spins out. Hoover in his face will reverse field. Now it's Wiggins. He throws it up for grabs looking for Brunig, and it's into the Wheaton bench.
Brock Rudder just getting frustrated now. He doesn't have anywhere to throw it, and he's getting pressure from that front 4. And this is a Wheaton recipe right here. This was the recipe in the playoff game last year, is they didn't blitz them. And I was actually surprised. I said it at the top of the show on Saturday after I talked to the coaches. They planned on rolling the dice and pressuring Rudder, and Rudder burned them on it in the first half. And tonight they have not pressured him virtually at all, except for a couple of instances, and they've really been able to get pressure with that front 4, and they've done a good job keeping everybody in front of them.
4 wide receivers, 2 by 2 they go. 8:55 left. North Central trailing by 22. 4-man rush. Rudder climbs the pocket. pressure from behind. It's complete across the middle to Svikis. Nice play there. And Fox saves a big play with a tackle around the ankles.
Super important tackle. Those are the kind of plays against this defense because guys are turning and running with guys deep in the zone. So a crosser from the other side, if you got time to throw it, if he can catch it and beat his guy, he can go for a long way.
Well, just great pocket presence by Brock Rudder there with Dallas McCray at his back, and it's good that he didn't see him because he stepped up in the pocket and made the throw.
Looking into the flat again, complete to Svikis, and quickly Solly and Marcus Smith are right back there. But again, like you said, Doug, time is your friend. Continue to keep the ball in front of you and make them put together 3 long drives here.
Ball's at the 48.
That's a gain of 6 across midfield.
Just be disciplined. If you're a Wheaton defender, you got to be disciplined. Drop in your zone, come up and make a tackle.
Rudder again, pressure up the middle. It's complete underneath the Hardema.
It's a block in the back.
Block in the back by Josh
receiver.
Ruiz. Would have been a first down for Hardema, and instead the freshman just tries to do a little bit too much.
It's a good call. Marcus had position on him. He cut in front to get the tackle, and he just got blocked in the back. That's a good call. You can't make that play.
Again, this is the first of I guess you can call it a doubleheader tonight here on WTSN. Coming up at 7:30, the Wheaton women's soccer team will host 20th ranked Illinois Wesleyan over at Joe Bean Stadium in a game that was supposed to be played on Saturday, but weather forcing it to today. That game will be for the first and second place teams in the conference, so very high likelihood that the winner of that game will be the top seed for the conference tournament. The walk-off keeps it second and medium because it occurred downfield from the block in the back. So it's 2nd and 7. Move the ball back to the north central side of midfield at their own 49-yard line. The nose of the ball just shy of the midfield stripe. Trips left, split right is Ruiz, who draws coverage from Marcus Smith. 4-man rush again from the Thunder. Rudder steps up, delivers into the flat. Diving catch made by Corey Hardema. That's a terrific catch, but it sets up a crucial 3rd and 2 here for North Central.
It's not that crucial. Everything's 4 downs at this point. So they went for it on their own 25. They're definitely going to go for it anywhere in here. They got 2 downs to get 2 yards.
And they go to that 5-wide set, which is where they were most effective on the touchdown drive.
Might go back to that quarterback draw.
I believe that's what they went to on the short yardage situation last time. Pump fake. He's looking to go deep across the middle. He's got Blazik over the top, and it's incomplete, and a flag comes down.
Gosh, are you kidding me?
Blazik never saw the ball. He would have been fine to just let him run by him, but a little bit of a bump at the 11-yard line draws a flag.
Wow. I mean, I don't like that call either.
We'll see it again on the Realty Executives replay. It's a deep wheel route.
Pass interference.
He's turning to look for the ball, and that's a non-call. It should be a non-call.
Blazik never saw the ball, so his angle to catch up to the receiver as the safety was a little too shallow.
Well, first of all, Blazik's not in good position there as a 2-deep safety. He shouldn't be in a position to turn and run hip to hip with a guy. He should be deeper than the deepest as a 2-deep safety. He should have been over the top of that, reacting up to catch it, not chasing it.
Intended for Jake Beasley, another talented freshman receiver. Rudder climbs the pocket, he'll scramble, sliding down inside the 25 and right back up as North Central has to go full throttle at this point. Brunig's back in the game. Now he checks out. They go back to the 5-wide set as Jalen Dennis comes back onto the field. This is a very young group of wide receivers for North Central. They haven't had an opportunity for this kind of scenario yet this year. 2nd and 4 from the 25. Pressure forces him up in the pocket, rolling to his right, delivering deep, looking for Dennis, and great coverage by Corey Kennedy as Rudder takes a hit from Greenlee. And again, it's 3rd down here for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and once again, if you're the Cardinals, you've got 2 shots to gain to achieve the line of gain, which is about 5 yards here, because they're pedal to the metal, trying to score a touchdown on every drive at this point, but look for Wheaton's cheated defensive ends to just pin their ears back here and get after Brock Rudder.
You've got Rudder out of breath after 2 long scrambles too here, so this would be one to really come after him. Wiggins and O'Connell, the defensive tackles. Greenlee and Hoover will pin their ears back off the edge. 3rd and 4 from the 25. Give up the middle to Brunig. Great call for the Cardinals as he breaks out of a tackle inside the 15. A smart call by North Central. Brunig's being ignored for most of this half, but that gets you a new set of downs.
And it just makes you wonder where that's been this entire half so far. I mean, they abandoned the running game to begin with, really.
Well, that's the same call you saw against Illinois Wesleyan in a 4-down territory situation, taking a shot at a running play. That was a touchdown. that Morgan Alexander ran against Wheaton. It's the same type of play.
And flags everywhere. False start against North Central with 6:16 left in the game.
So, yeah, going back to that, you run that running play. It's actually a great call when you know you're going for it on 4th down. Everybody's mindset is a 3rd down mindset. So the ends are coming up. Yep. Everybody's trying to get penetration, but you're sitting there going, it's a great time to run some sort of delay or draw. And they ran it well, and Brunig's one of the best runners in the conference. He's going to execute that.
1st and 15 from the 19. Rudders looking for Ruiz up the sideline, incomplete, and again, I think this might go against Ruiz. That should go against Ruiz, who extended the arms.
Yeah, he absolutely pushed off.
Ruiz got away with a pass interference call on Saturday night against Marcus Smith.
And that's his second huge penalty on this drive.
And Wheaton, it's against Ruiz. Pass interference. Just completely unnecessary. So that sets up 1st and 30 back at the 34-yard line.
And you wonder if the Thunder are going to go to their 3-man front and get the extra DB in.
And again, this is a talented group of receivers for North Central, but they're freshmen. They haven't had to play from behind yet this year down the stretch. So this is all relatively new for this group of wideouts. Rudder's been here before, but this group of wideouts has not been in it with this quarterback in the heat of battle. They will need the 4-yard line for a 1st down. 1st down with 6:05 left in the game. Wheaton just brings 4. Rudder steps up, underneath route, complete to Kaminsky, and a great tackle by Stevenson. Wheaton's really dropping the linebackers to even deeper depths here.
Well, they got to get to the 4-yard line, so you're going to let them throw anywhere in the underneath 10 yards. You're going to get your depth and sit underneath all those curl routes and then come react up on those routes.
You know, and you'd like to have, in a situation like this with Brunig's arm and his accuracy, you'd like to be able to go into a 5-wide set, but having a guy like Brunig in the backfield really behooves the ability to have a personal protector.
Delivers to Hardeman. That's a strike.
Heck of a throw there.
On a deep post, and it'll bring it back to 3rd and 2.
Wow. Fantastic throw right there.
Yeah, he just boxed out the safety. Yeah, you mentioned that, Dan, but Brunig's staying in the pass protect. They're not trusting their front 5 right now.
And rightfully so. I mean, Wheaton's really done a good job of creating pressure with their front 4.
3rd and 3, from the 7. He's looking across the middle. It's a double slant, and he's just going to throw it away. So it comes down to 4th and 3 now for North Central.
Well, big play here. 5:05 to go in the game. And
Wheaton's got a man down here on about the 5-yard line.
I think that was Hoover. Yeah,
they've got a defensive lineman down in the middle.
I thought it was Hoover and it looked like he maybe had the wind knocked out of him or something. He was kind of bent over on one knee at first and then went down to his back. I think he might have just gotten gassed a little bit.
Yeah, and quickly back up.
And that is, I mean, that's, you never want to see a guy go down.
That's Dallas McCray.
Yeah.
You hope a guy like him comes back quickly because we felt his loss against Milliken, and this is just a defensive line.
Wesleyan and Milliken, actually.
Yeah, McCray McCray gave the thumbs up to the crowd there. He just the way he's walking, hands on hips, looks like like you said, Doug, just got the wind knocked out of him.
Don't worry, I didn't break my nose again.
He took a shot to the gut. He just had the wind knocked out of him. He needs a couple seconds here. He'll be fine. Big play here, though, on 4th down. They got to get 3 yards. What do you dial up here? I mean, it's going to be something in the quick game. If you're outside, if you're one of the outside receivers or defensive backs, you got to take away the inside move.
Well, and they've looked double slant here a few times. Brunig's not in the game. This is the 5-wide set. Rutter's looking right, comes back across the middle. It's incomplete, in and out of the hands of Kaminsky. Had it in the end zone and dropped it. Kennedy was on his backside, might have raked his hand across his arms, and it's a turnover on downs.
Just kudos to this Wheaton defense for some outstanding play.
Boy, that's a heck of a stick by Corey Kennedy, who, sure enough, brought his hand across the left arm of Kaminsky.
Reuter put it where you needed to put it, though. I mean, it was a great throw. Credit that kid. He is a warrior. He's stepped in there the entire game. He's been getting hit, and he's clearly frustrated, but he's still continuing to put the ball where you need to put it. Right now, there haven't been enough playmakers for North Central tonight.
And if you're the Cardinals, you're obviously looking only 2 timeouts left. So if they get a stop of Olateju here, the thing is you're going to walk the safeties down. If you can get Shola off tackle, this is a good scenario for him to break a long one. 1st and 10 from the 7. They walk the safety down within 10 yards of the line. Stretch him to the left side. And that's beautifully defended by North Central, who drops him for a loss of 5. Wheaton's had a lot of success running left tonight, and they just slanted right at that run.
Yeah, it's going to be tough running it up in here. Great job there by that defensive front.
Completely dominant.
That's Ben Wiley, the senior defensive end, who blew that play up at the point of attack.
Sure did.
I mean, he took Braden Parker and planted him deep in the backfield there, and Shola never really had a chance to make a cut once he received the handoff.
Yeah, running up the middle is going to be tough here. You got the big fella Matt Taylor in there, big 6'5" senior. He's a monster, 296 pounds, number 90.
So 2nd and 15 now from their own 2. Olateju again to the left side. Flag comes down. He breaks out to the 10, spinning to the 15-20. We had a flag come down as soon as the ball was snapped, and it came down right over the center. Wheaton's walking back like they already know it's against them.
Chop block.
Chop block, yep.
61 and 60 on the offense.
Yeah, sure enough.
Half the distance.
Yeah, they're trying to. They're chopping the big fella, the 6'5" guy, because his pad level's pretty high, and you know, Hibben didn't really get his hands on him, so I'm not sure that's illegal. I think you can chop block him. You just can't post and cut him. Hibben bailed out of there right away, so I don't know. I didn't see the replay, but that's not a penalty if the guard just comes down and chop blocks him. They're lining up Taylor over the center because he's just a big, huge, strong guy, and he's just going to bull rush you back into the end zone.
Yeah, this is, and the clock running.
You got to throw a hitch out here to Hanley.
And they've got the safeties all the way down inside the 10-yard line with the ball on the 1. McWilliams taking his time. They're showing pressure off the edge with Oakley. And they're going to stretch to Olateju. Olateju gets to the edge here. He gets out of the end zone across the 5 and does a nice job stopping himself before he goes out of bounds.
Great job.
Veteran play right there.
Stay in bounds, keep the clock going, and they really need to get to the 5-yard line to keep the punt operation where they want it to be. So this is a full punt operation when it's outside the 5 because you need a 15-yard area for the snapper to snap it back to the punter. So right now with the ball at the right at the 5, the punter can keep his feet just inside the end line and they can run a full operation there. Otherwise it's a tight punt and you have to really protect up the middle because they can push you back and get to that launch point. So that's the goal when you're coming out of the end zone. You're trying to get to the 5-yard line when you're trying to be conservative. I'd be very surprised if the ball goes in the air here.
I think they're going to take their last time out
They
here.
sure are. And they're going to run something that gets them a yard or two so they can run a full punt operation. And they're going to make North Central chase them for 3 scores with under 3 minutes to go.
Timeout, Wheaton. Their final of the game.
You can't say enough about this Wheaton performance tonight in the second half. The defense has been outstanding against just a prolific quarterback, one of the best that's out there, and they frustrated him, and their game plan has completely changed. They haven't pressured him at all. They've sat back in coverage, and they've challenged his receivers to get open and to make plays, and they've come up and tackled him, and as a result, they've taken away the running game, and they've been able to get pressure on him with their 4-down linemen. They don't have a lot of sacks. I think they just have 1 or maybe 2 sacks, but they've forced him to throw the ball early, rush out of the pocket. They've gotten plenty of hits on Rudder that's frustrated him.
Well, and I think our conversation before this half started tonight, it's who had the best opportunity with the 36 hours or so that they've had for preparation. And I mean, I think that the defensive coaches for Wheaton have really decided, hey, we can put the faith in our defensive backs and put the faith in our defensive linemen to really bring pressure and get in Rudder's face. And they've done a great job of covering. And he's had some success, but they've limited it to the short out routes, which we said you'd live with at this point. So really good job by Wheaton to respond. And at this point, if only we could have 36 hours between each half.
So here it is, 3rd and 12 from their own 5. Wheaton's out of timeouts. North Central still with 2. You expect them to use one if they get a stop here. McWilliams under center. They hand off to Olateju rushing up the middle, and he's going to lose 3 yards.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Here comes a quick timeout from North Central, and sure enough, you're not going to have your full operation depth as that'll make the tackle back at the 3.
And North Central will absolutely come after this punt, being that the operation is so short. But
so the question then is,
it's been a good unit.
The strategic question is, do you take a safety so that you get to have your punt team out, change the field a little bit because of the time? Now you're still making it right now it's a 3-score game either way. It's still going to be a 3-score game if you take a safety. So you might think about snapping it to the punter, letting him run around a little bit, take a few seconds off, then take the safety so you can punt it from your 20 and get your full special teams unit out here, because otherwise they're going to get the ball on your half of the 50. It's a small difference, but at the end of the day, you're forcing them to go get the points rather than potentially giving it to them here.
Wheaton's taking their time.
Oh, the delay
in the huddle.
I mean, if they're planning on taking it,
well, it's not.
It's a timeout. So the clock, it hasn't started yet. The play clock has not yet started. There we go.
So you would expect North Central to bring pressure. Looks like they're going to try to bring it off the strong side.
If they're going to take a safety, they'd just snap it over his head and tell him not to field it.
Fedler will get it away out of his end zone, and it's a wobbly kick going to be taken by Cravens at the 42. Jordan Frisbee can't make the first tackle. Here he goes. Cravens cutting it back, and he loses his footing around the 37-yard line.
Okay.
Andrew Brady did a great job there attacking the outside corner, knowing that he had to turn him back to help. Cravens does a nice job getting what he can, and it's a short field for the Cardinals with 2:33 left, trailing 42-20.
Again, defensively, you're just going to come out and you're too high safety, too deep. Those guys' job is to stay behind everybody. Nobody gets behind them. And everybody else, they're running with a...
And they're going to stand up 3 of the 4 linemen. Rudder out of an empty backfield. Will deliver deep on first down, looking for Kaminsky on the corner. Fox there, they're rolling outside coverage with the corners, and Rudder looked like he knew exactly where he was going, whether it was open or not. That's just blindly throwing.
Yeah, he's just going for the home run right off the first down.
I still don't like I'd like to see those safeties get more depth, even on their alignment. I mean, you see the NFL safeties at this point in the game, those guys are at least 20 yards deep. Right now, these guys are lined up 12 yards deep. That's not deep enough. Underneath doesn't hurt you with 2:28 left. Those guys should be lined up at least 5 to 10 yards farther back.
Svikis outside of a trip set. Ruiz the lone guy left. Rudder will go a crossing route to Ruiz. Finally tucks the ball away. Just a very short gain of a yard here for the Cardinals, and we've said it from the beginning of the fourth quarter. You give that up now and just let the seconds count down, almost to 2 minutes.
Now, Chase Greenley got tackled on that play too, and the ref
one of the problems with moving your safeties back, you got to move the linebackers back. So you tell that entire perimeter defense to move back 5 to 10 yards.
3rd and 9 from the 36. Rudder, it's incomplete. Hartema had it, was coming out of the break, and I don't think he expected the ball that early, and then it brings up 4th down. And what could be the last stand here for the Cardinals.
It's just an unbelievable difference from tonight and Saturday night. In the adverse weather that North Central faced, I mean, Brock Rudder was delivering great balls, but the guys were making unbelievable catches, and they just had a couple of drops, big drops in big situations tonight that have just been a big difference.
An unbelievable performance by the Thunder all the way around. You just have to congratulate them for coming out ready to play. I mean, they've taken over this game.
They're going to keep Brunig in the game here on 4th and 9. He will leak out. 4-man rush. Rudder flushed out. Ball's out! Rudder just going to have to pick it. Ball is still loose.
And doesn't matter. It's going to be Wheaton ball.
Right, but Rudder tried to spin out. Greenlee knocked it out. O'Connell comes out with the football. Spikes it into the ground. The officials never saw it.
Which is good.
Just a sea of orange jerseys going to cover that up.
They're going to give you a sideline infraction if you don't get off the field.
What an unbelievable performance by Wheaton all around tonight, but particularly the defense in neutralizing what's a very prolific offense and a great quarterback in Brock Rudder.
A little surprising that wasn't even a sideline warning there.
I mean that's an absolute that's a delay of game penalty as well that they avoided.
Like we talked about earlier with the point spread, Rudder does a nice job making sure that Wheaton doesn't just pick that ball up and go to the house with it.
Yeah.
And Wheaton's just going to go to victory formation here with 1:46 left.
One timeout for North Central. I doubt Coach Thorne will take it.
Takes the first knee. He will likely have to take it 2 more times. But after a 1-year hiatus in Naperville, the bell will return to Wheaton.
Wow. Congratulations to Mike Swider, this staff, this program, the school. They've done just a fantastic job in what's been probably the most adversity that the program has ever faced, just losing 2 games in the face of a third going against the number 4 team in the country. They haven't lost 3 games in Mike Swider's tenure here. So having this opportunity to go against your arch rival and win the bell back, just congratulations to this staff, the preparation that they put in. Jesse Scott, J.J. Clark, the 2 coordinators, Taylor Graham, the passing game coordinator, Andy Studebaker, Jeff Peltz on the D-line. Just a phenomenal job. Pete Ittersagen, the former defensive back who played in the NFL, is coaching with the DBs. Great job by this staff, these coaches, and these players. These players went out and they just wanted this game and they executed.
Not to go unnoticed, classy move here by Coach Swider and his staff. He gets the senior running back, Jerome Gray, into the game on victory formation. Jerome's been really a great program player throughout his 4-year career here with the Thunder, so he gets to be the up back in the orange jersey, swarm the field, and I don't know that we would have seen this coming.
Swider takes the ice bath, too.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of scenarios coming into play tonight, but just an avalanche against North Central was not one of the scenarios we saw how this game unfolded.
And just a quick point, we can talk about all the things that need to go right for Wheaton and all the things that need to happen for the playoff hopes to stay alive, but the one thing that you can control is the game that you play in, and Wheaton came out and absolutely responded in what was a very difficult situation to have to play 2 halves on 2 different nights, and just a great job by Wheaton to respond and come out here and really just put it on North Central in a completely dominant fashion on offense and defense. A tale of 2 halves, certainly, because they were played on different days, but we'll look at the stat sheet in a second, but just what an unbelievable finish by Wheaton's start.
And there's the bell.
And you see the celebration over on the North Central sideline is the just rewards. This team earned this, and they get to go celebrate on the other team's sideline.
And I bet if you talk to Coach Swider after tonight is over, this win is going to mean as much as any of them in his 21-year career, and that includes the one last year in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's just a huge win for the program, for the team, for these players. The students are out on fall break. They want to put it right down on the 50, right on that W. Students are all gone at fall break. The crowd, the community still came out and supported this team. Fantastic performance by the Thunder tonight.
So Wheaton, it would have been their first time since 1997 that Wheaton had lost 3 consecutive games when they lost the first 3 games of the year in that season. And they just stormed back, and it really looked like after those first 2 touchdowns, North Central had the look of a deer in the headlights. I mean, they just didn't know what was coming at them, and they rallied. The North Central offense rallies to get back within a score. But at that point, you felt the game kind of swing again. But Wheaton again just stole it back and just put their foot right on the throat of the Cardinals and never let them have another chance.
Yeah, and Wheaton did what they do. Shola Olateju had a fantastic second half. Obviously, Curtis McWilliams, you have to just heap high praises on that senior kid who waited his turn, took his lumps early this season, and then came out and played like a man. He was the best number 9 in the second half.
So Wheaton wins this one 42-20. We got to wrap this up and get things over to Joe Bean Stadium, where the Wheaton women's soccer team getting ready for a 7:30 start against the Titans. But all is well. Wheaton brings back the bell with a 42-20 rout of the number 4 ranked team in the country. Live stats and a game story will be available on the Wheaton Athletics page, athletics.wheaton.edu. Wheaton moves to 5-2 on the season. The Cardinals take their first loss at 5-1. We'll be back next week, this week, on Saturday when the Thunder travel down to Foster and Kedzie to take on the Vikings. A 1 o'clock kickoff. Swider Insider comes your way at 12:35 from Chicago. Again, the final score 42-20. An outstanding 2 days of work from our production crew at Sunrise Communications. For Nate Stein on Saturday night, Dan Studebaker and Doug Rothschild pulling double duty here. I'm Rusty Lindsay. Thanks for tuning in. You've been watching the Battle for the Little Brass Bell on the Wheaton Thunder Sports Network.